Good morning, everyone. Good week, amazing week for everybody. We are in Bava Kama and we're in Daf. Oh, yay, that's right. The meeting is recorded. Bava of Shmuel, Baba mi Akronia. We actually have 2 minutes for summary. 2 minutes for summary. You guys want to do some Musar Sefer like we did Tomer Dvora every day for 5 minutes to mend our sinful ways? Joking. What? Yeah? Maybe we'll think of something. I have something up my sleeve. Okay, summary. Shemesh Shmuel, maybe. I want something more Lefia Seder, but could be. We'll try. Fine. So no summary today. We'll just go straight into the deep water. Third wide line of the page. Zayin Amud base in the bottom. And this year's Lerefuas, our friend Bel Shmuel ben Gittel. בסוך שער חול ישראל, ולאילו נשמע סוף אמר מנחם בן עקיבא, רות בס שלום סוף בס משה צילה בס בן ציון. ביי מנהל שמואל ברבא מהקרוניה, רב שמואל ברבא מהקרוניה, ורפוס יהודיס בס רבקה בסוך שער חול ישראל. ביי מנהל שמואל ברבא מהקרוניה, רב שמואל ברבא, who lived in a city called Akronia, he asked Rabbi Abba the following question. Kshen shomin, when you evaluate the fields of the mazik. When you start looking at the fields of the mazik, because what kind of field does a mazik have to give to the nizak? Best, middle, or worst? The best of the best. He has to give him the idis, right? According to everyone. Because this is what it says in the Torah. Meitav Seder, Meitav Kal Meshalim. Rabbi Akiva is the one who said the best of the mazik. Always true, Ellen. Well, Rabbi Shmuel said what? The best of the nizak, meaning the field of the mazik, which is worth as much as the best of the nizak. So the question is, b'shelohen shomin or b'shel oilamin shomin? Do you evaluate it by his best or in the world's best? Is it considered as something objective or subjective? Do you allow relativity here or don't you? In other words, let's say his field, let's talk now about Eretz Yisrael, and let's stick to the same 3 places, which I'm not sure it's true what I'm saying in the real market, but just for the sake of example, let's assume Savion is a very fancy place near Tel Aviv, and from now on it's going to be the fancy Edis of Eretz Yisrael. I'm not sure it's so expensive anymore, but even that's my childhood memory. Savion is very fancy, and that's Edis. The Bet Shemesh is medium, is Benonis, and the Negev, yeah, let's say some kind of, the guy has a field in the Negev where nothing can really grow, yeah, maybe they'll find oil one day. Let's assume that's considered as Ziburis, which is the worst. So let's say a person has 3 fields. He has one in Savion, one in Bet Shemesh, one in Dimona. So, but he also has a house in Beverly Hills. He has 100 million mansion in Bel Air. That's in California. So, and that's assume, I'm not trying to be anti-Eretz Yisrael, I'm for Eretz Yisrael, forget it. But let's say in the world of the Gashmis of the market, that field in California, the house in California is worth more. That's called like Idis. That's a super Idis. So the question is, let's say the guy damaged someone's car, the one who has 3 houses in Eretz Yisrael and 1 in Bel Air. Do you say that you estimate it with the Idis of Shaloi, and you say, hey, you have Idis more than everybody else. Oh, your Idis, you have super Idis. So pay with your Idis. It's always relative. We always go to the top, like the oil on top of the water. You always reach the top, and therefore you're going to pay with the best of yours, because that's your Idis, or maybe not. Or maybe B'shel Oilam and Shomin. Since in the Israeli market, in the common, regular market, Savion is the best. So the way we know it, Savion is the best place around, let's say, and therefore you'll pay with your Savion mansion, with the Savion house, and not with the one Beverly Hills. Do we go by yours, always by your best, or do we go with what's considered in the world, in the Welt, in the regular market, as the best? That's the question. As Ellen mentioned before, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel, and you have a disagreement from before. And the Gemara says, the Gemara points out before it gives an answer, the Gemara wants to clarify the question. Aliba de Rabbi Shmuel loti bailach. According to Rabbi Shmuel, it's not even a question. Why? The Omar b'denizak sheminan. Rabbi Shmuel is out of that game anyways. Because Rabbi Shmuel says you go with the best field of the Nizak. So if the Mazik has best or super best, loch patli. Because anyways, we always estimate with the best of the Nizak. And therefore, if the Nizak's best land is in the Negev, I pay him with my Negev land, right? If his best is the Shemesh and he has other lower lands, I pay him a Shemesh field. We don't even get that high anyways. The question only comes to mind when we talk about Rabbi Akiva. Why? The Omar but the Mazik Sheminan. Rabbi Akiva goes according to the Mazik. What would be the halacha when you are sham with a mazik? That's a question. Meitav sadehu omar chmonu l'miuti denizak. When the Torah said his best field, what does it mean? Does the Torah say his excluding the nizak? Meaning, you, Mr. Nizak, your best land is way lower, is way below mine. My best land, in the market is... What is Bel Air? But Machpatli, the one that's best in the regular market around us, normal people who live amongst us, in their eyes, Savion is the best, the local best is the best. That's all I give you. I don't have to start giving you now something from the top of the top. No, I don't have to, because as long as it's my best, it's not yours, that's all I need. Even though my best is not really my best, it's one of the country, of the area. Or maybe lemiuti de alma nami. Maybe it also means to say more than that. Maybe his idis means his idis forever and ever, even excluding the regular best, so to speak, of everybody else. Meaning he has to give him the super prized land, something super duper good, which is more than the idis of the Welt. That's the question. Is best something relative, or is best something which is objective? That's a question. Amale, so he answered him. Rabbi Abba answered. The Torah says, Meitav Sadehu. Well, the Torah clearly said Sadehu. Sadehu means his best field. Rhetorically asking, are you telling me we're going to start now evaluating according to what's called the oilam, the market? No, I don't go for that. I go with his best because that's more of a poshut pshat of the reading of the pasuk. His best is his best, and his best is some super prized land, which is way above the market, more than the idis sheba idis. But that's his best, pashut meod, and therefore it goes by relativity, and you have to pay him with the best of your land, which is even super duper diamond club best. That's what we say up until now. I don't know if you got my chart from yesterday, but I sent you a chart. I don't know if you have now the ability to share it. 1 minute. Maybe I can do a new share. Okay, so now Asive question. We're now going to challenge what Rabbi Abba said. We have 5 lines from the bottom of the page. Asive question from a Brisa. It says in the Brisa, En lo ela idis. Let's say that person, now, by the way, who's that person? I was going to say the damager, but it's not so simple. We're now entering again the not Holy Trinity. No, the unholy threesome. The mazik. A person owes money to 3 different people. There are 3 people chasing him. Yeah, sounds like a title of a movie or something. Yeah. That he has his wife, his divorced wife, his ex-wife is chasing him because she wants her ksuba. He has a Baal Choiv, somebody that lent him money. And also, he damaged someone's car. He was so distraught. He was so, under distress. And what? He also bumped into someone's car. So he also has Nezikin. So he has 3 people chasing him, right? He has the person who's looking for Nezikin money. The person wants his money back as a loan. And he has the ex-vibe that wants her Kesuba. So these are the 3 people chasing him. What does each one deserve? We saw before. We'll see later. No, it doesn't depend on who has a bigger knife. No, hopefully not. Let's try to be civil over here. ACV, yeah. In today, basically, a woman would win everything, don't worry. ACV, Ein loy ela idis. Let's say the person only has the best of the land. The guy has 3 houses in Savion, all very nice and fancy. That's all he has. He doesn't have anything less than that. He's a very spitzy guy. So now, kulam goivin min idis. Regardless whether you are a nizak, Baal Choiv, or a woman for the ksuba, you get from the idis because that's what's around. In other words, we're not anti-woman. The woman dafka should get ziburis. Everyone gets from the idis. Beinunis, he only has 3 apartments which are Beinuni in base Shemesh, Rama something. Kulam goivin Beinunis. Everyone gets from a Benonis because that's what's around, that's what's available. Ziburis, he only has bad land, he only has something in the real, depleted, dilapidated thingy down south. Kulam Goivin Ziburis, everyone gets Ziburis. However, what happens when things are nice and normal? Hoyoloi Idis, Ubenonis, Ziburis. He has the best, the middle, and the worst. Then comes the rule, and this you have to know by heart, and I'm sure you do, and you will know it even better by heart soon. Nizokin beidis. Nizokin get idis. Why do we say that Nizokin get the best of the best? Because the Holy Bible, it says in the Torah, in Parshas Mishpatim, Meitav Seder, Meitav Karmoi. It also makes sense as people here were saying that the person was damaged. In other words, yeah, it's more of an aggravation, makes sense. I didn't want that. I didn't invite your Bessie the cow to eat all my tomatoes and not the tomatoes either. So now, therefore, pay with the best. Baal Choiv bebeinonis. The Baal Choiv gets the middle ground, excuse the pun, gets the middle kind of land, the average land, the one in, let's say, Shemesh. That's what the Baal Choiv gets. Why is that? Why is that? Because, really, a Baal Choiv doesn't get Meitav. The Torah doesn't prescribe him to get Meitav. If anything, the Gemara will tell us later on that it says, B'chutz ta'amoid, you stand outside, and the person who owes you money will give you something. Something may be the worst also. In other words, it's up to the niza, to the lover, it's up to the borrower to decide how he's going to pay you, preferably cash. But if not, he can give you even subin. Okay, subin is by mazik. He can even give you the worst stuff, anything that, as long as it's worth the value of the debt. Now, so why doesn't he get the worst land? Why does he get the Beinonis? Because Chachami made it a con. It's very, very important to know that, because these are your service for the entire Shiur. Yeah, the Baal Choiv was upgraded. Ever flew an airline and you were upgraded all the time? So then what? He's upgraded one level above into Beinonis. Chachamim say we want the Malvim to feel comfortable. We want the Malvim to come home feeling, I got a field in Shemesh, not in the D city down south. Something decent. So, okay, I didn't lose that much by giving halva. Besides the tremendous, terrific mitzvah, yeah, he feels comfortable. And this way, the loivim will be the ones gaining from the whole story. Okay? That's the way it works with the halva. It was upgraded one level. But remember, midoraisa, the Malde was supposed to get the worst. Rabbanon, boom, bumped him up. They upgraded him into middle ground so he doesn't feel he's losing, and then he'll stop giving people loans. Now, Ksubas Isha beziburis, rak rega tzavakasha. Ksubas Isha beziburis, a woman that stands out of their traditional Jewish chuppah. So that woman is basically balas choiv. She's like a malve. She's owed money. And she remains with the din d'oraisa of ziburis, like all other loivim should be. The reason why a woman was not upgraded one level above, because we believe women will still get married even if they get the worst land, as opposed to Malvim. And Malvim says, who needs this headache? I'm lending a guy money, and then instead of giving me cash, he started giving me land. What kind of land? Goose! This disgusting apartment in this dilapidated town, Pituach place. I don't need that on my head. I'm closing the Gmach. Goodbye. Who needs this Gmach anyways? I'll give tzedakah otherwise. I'll give all my money to the koil, to the website. Finished. A woman, we don't think all women will stop getting married because they're getting in case she gets the ksuba, the worst land, she'll still get married. And a father will marry off, as they say, more than the man wants to get married. The woman wants to get married just as much, if not more. So therefore, these are the three principles. So now we know it by heart. I'll wake you up in the middle of the night, and you'll tell me that. No, I won't wake you up in the middle of the night. Yeah, and the top land goes to the Nizikin, middle land goes to the Baal Choiv, and the worst land goes to the Ksuba. That's the rule. From now, we're going to play around with that, all kinds of games, what happens if and what happens what, for the next few days. But this is the rule. Nizik in the top, Baal Choiv middle, and an Isha gets the worst. Don't tell Rabbi Elizabeth. Shh. Yeah, okay. Okay, questions before we really start the shiur? Yeah. What's your wife? So, as pointed by Yosef, what happens if a woman, I'm rephrasing the question a bit before we continue, what happens if a woman says, I want to eat this? As far as I know, I haven't been in the sugi in a long time, as far as I know, that's possible. If they write down in the ksuba, I'm getting married to you, mister, but I demand idis, and they write some nice Aramaic sentence there in the middle of the whole ksuba, almenat that you'll get the idis of the idis, the best land. As far as I know, that's at night. Why not? She should get the Idis. Same thing with Baal Choiv. The only ones that cannot do conditions are Nizokin. Nizokin is not pre-planned, and Nizokin anyhow they get the best. So what they have no reason to complain. Okay, it's Zayter. Now let's see what happens. This is very hard to punctuate, so you gotta stay with me here. Now we are in the second to last line. Okay. Idis ubenonis. Let's say the person only has the best and the benonis. He doesn't have the worst land. What does that mean? Let's now, when you read the following brisa, which is not long, we're going to have 3 and then 4 afterwards, different cases. You have to use 2 lenses when you read it. You have to bear in mind that best, middle, and worst are relative, and sometimes we have to look at it not as relative, but as be'etzem, as objective. Okay? Idis ubenonis. Let's say the person only has a land in Savion and Shemesh. He doesn't have what people consider as the worst. Yeah, he doesn't have the lowest land. He doesn't have such a low land. He only has best and middle. That's what he has on sale in his karka shop, yeah? What do we do then? We're missing the worst. Nizokin be'idis, Nizokin easy. They get idis because that's what they get. Baal choiv u'ksubas isha be'benonis. Baal choiv and u'ksubas isha are in the benonis. In other words, the Baal Choiv, the Isha, the Baal Choiv Benonis, well, it's Benonis. What do you want him to get? Isha also gets Benonis, because Benonis is now the worst that there is, right? Benonis is now Benonis, and also it's Ziburis. That's the worst that he has, so the woman gets that. And the Baal Choiv gets that. Baal Choiv is not going to be upgraded to Idis, Mapitom, no reason. That's easy. That's an easy part. Next case, Benonis Ziburis. The guy has no best land. He doesn't have anything in Savion. He's just fancy guy. He's a coil guy. He has what? An apartment in Shemesh and somehow some down south junkie place. So he has Benonis, Viziburis. Okay? So then what do? He has no Idis. Nizokin Baal Choiv Benonis. The Nizokin, unfortunately, the best that he has is what? The Benonis. Baal Choiv stays in Benonis, as his adin is, the Baal Choiv Benonis, but that's a catch which we're going to talk about later. So Vasishu Viziburis, yeah, got the picture? He has class B and class C. He has no best, what the world calls best. So then the Nizokin are downgraded to Benonis, because it's relatively the best. Baal Choiv stays in Benonis, and the Isha stays in Ziburis. Next case. Now, the next case is Daf Ches Amud, which is today's Amud. Idis Viziburis, the guy's an extreme guy. He has the fancy in Savion, and the worst one in down south junkie place. He has the best and the worst, no middle by him. Nizoki and Beidis. Nizoki, they stay Beidis as they should. They stay with their regular halacha. Baal Choiv Ksubasisha Viziburis. Baal Choiv and Ksubasisha are Ziburis. Baal Choiv and Ksubasisha. Ziburis, Ksubasisha, she stays with Ziburis. Baal Choiv stays with Ziburis, because Midoraisa, that's what should have got anyways. There's no reason to be upgraded all the way up to Savion. Baal Choiv really should have been Ziburis, which is upgraded. Tanimiya, one thing we want to siphon out of that story, Metzia, the middle story of the middle case of this brisa is telling us which case. Listen to this. Let's repeat. Benonis Viziburis, we're on the third line, Ches Amud Aleph. Benonis Viziburis, the guy has Benonis and Ziburis. He doesn't have the best, what people call the best. What did we say? Nizokin Baal Choiv Benonis. The Nozokin are Benonis, well, because that's the best he has, that's the Zikin. But Baal Choiv is in Benonis. Interesting. Uksubas Isha Viziburis. And Ksubas Isha, Viziburis, she stays the way she is. There's one catch over here. There's one red herring. Something here doesn't read right. Says the Gemara. The Gemara tell us what's the problem, what the problem is. If you don't go with relativity, you go with his best. You don't go according to the market. You go by his subjective values. And you say you go according to his best, because that's what we learned previously at the beginning of the Shiur, that if the guy has the best of the top, and nobody in Israel has such a lens, fancy schmancy, and you go by him personally, privately, if so, Tatze Beinunis Shaloi, Keidis. If so, his Beinunis is his Idis. What do you mean he only has Beinunis and Ziburis? If you go with the market, then right, and Chinami. his Beinonis is Bet Shemesh. In the world of Israel, as far as I know, in the market world, I don't think Bet Shemesh is the best, it's worst. I assume it's somewhere in the middle. But if you say you go with relativity, Beinonis Shaloi Keidis, his Beinonis is what? Really his best. For him, that's his best. If so, V'idche Baal Choiv Etzel Ziburis, let the Baal Choiv go to Ziburis. Since when does the Baal Choiv get, since when does Baal Choiv get the best land? The Baal Choiv should be downgraded into Ziburis. I'll repeat the question with my own words. If you told me the guy doesn't have the best land, what does that mean? What a funny sentence. If you go according to market value, then it makes sense. My Karka in Bet Shemesh, which for me is the best, is not really the best in Israel. There's a regular apartment in Kishon, very nice apartment. It's not the best in the country, right? And then what? You say, he has Beinonis. Baal Choiv is Beinonis. I understand why Baal Choiv gets apartment in Kishon. But if you tell me that you go with relativity, so the regular apartment in Bet Shemesh is his best. If it's his best, what's the Nizak doing over there? The Nizak should be downgraded, not even downgraded. The Nizak should be in the Ziburis. Nizak never goes up to Idis. He has no right to do that, but that's his Idis. Must be wrong. So your whole premise that we go with relativity according to what's good for the person, in the person's own value, wrong. Because we see that otherwise he should be considered as Idis. That's a question. Baal Choiv, sorry, I meant Baal Choiv. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I meant Baal Choiv, I meant Baal Choiv all the time. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. Baal Choiv, oy vavoy. I'm sorry. Baal Choiv, okay, I'm thank you. I'm re-saying the question, repeating the question. I don't have time to cut the video, it takes a long time. So again, forgive me. A person is Baal Choiv, not a Nizak. The Nizak always gets the best, yeah? But the Baal Choiv, why is Baal Choiv being upgraded over here to Beinonis? Baal Choiv normally gets Beinonis, that's true. So if the field that this guy has, and this guy, the one who owes money to everybody, has only 2 fields out of potential 3, he has the middle and the lowest, and you go with relativism, then we say what? His Beinonis is what Baal Choiv gets, very nice. He doesn't have what people call the best. But if you want to tell me otherwise, and you did tell me otherwise, you're telling me that what, you go with relativity with what's good for him, what's best by his terms, then in his terms, his Bet Shemesh land is his best. Since when does a Baal Choiv, the Baal Choiv gets the best, Baal Choiv doesn't get the best, only in Izak. So why is Baal Choiv getting the Beinonis, which is really his Idis, his best? Question.
He's not getting the best, he's only sharing the best.
He's getting the best.
He's sharing the best.
With who?
He's not getting the best wholly, he's only sharing the
with
best.
Who?
With the
It doesn't make a difference. No, I'm not trying to sound. No. I'm keeping my mouth shut. No. Bli kesher. May have two. Ma ze kashur. He should get the worst. No. So basisha. He shares with the nizokin. Lo mishane. No, I won't. If you don't mind, I won't. Och ma eskinan. No, it doesn't. Right. Answers the Gemara. What's the story here? Wow. The story over here is as follows. This person, when everything happened, when the damage was done, and the loan taken, this guy in his good old days, he had a land in Savion. He had Idis. It's so what? So he used to have 3 lands. Meanwhile, he sold one of them. Now, if he had the Idis, right, that means that at that time when the loan took place, the guy who lent the money knew that he has a land in where? In Bet Shemesh. And Savion and Dimona. And therefore he knew, I am a Baal Choiv. I expect as a Baal Choiv to get your Beinonis, right? Which is Bet Shemesh. So his shibud, remember Basra shibud, he's what you call mortgaging, he's subjugating, his claws are already on the land of Bet Shemesh. It's a very smart answer, yeah? Bet Shemesh. Mimela, Bet Shemesh says even though now Bet Shemesh is upgraded by relativity, because now Savion is not there, and Bet Shemesh is relatively the best one, he still gets it, because he already has his eyes on it, and his hands on it, and his shubud on it, from the time that Savion was the best, and Bet Shemesh was better. Benonis. And Benonis, surely a Baal Chov does get. V'chen Omar Rav Chizda, Rakrega, so says Rav Chizda, Kigoin Shoshel Idis Umechoro. This is endorsed by Rav Chizda that says, yes, the story of when the Baal Chov gets the Benonis, which became Idis, is because before that it was really Benonis. We go by the time of the loan. There was a shtar, there were expectations, there was shibud, and therefore the middle end stays middle, even though now it's the best. And Mimele now he gets Idis. 1 second. Achinami mistabra. So too, it makes sense to your answer. The answer makes sense because now we're going to throw another factor into the story. Midiktani achrisi. There's another brisa which in the chart is going to be called, I think, like BA. B2, like in other words, it's the same story with two different halachas, same scenario with two halachas. Says the brisa, the other brisa, Beinonis v'ziburis, same case of the guy only has the middle and the worst, the Shemesh and the south. Nizokin bebeinonis, Nizokin get the beinonis, and listen carefully. Baal choiv, uksibus yishu v'ziburis. The other Mishnah all of a sudden tells me a different song, sings a different song. It tells me Baal Chod gets the worst, the Ziburis. He doesn't get the Bet Shemesh apartment like the other Brisa. He gets the Dimona apartment. Kasha Nadodi. The Brisas are actually contradicting each other. Oy vavoy, what's happening here? Very good. We already know the answer. And if anything, we bring this difficulty only to prove how right we were in the answer. Elalav Shma Minam must be. The only good explanation is, although we'll see others too, Kasha Solidus Umechora. When the land in Bet Shemesh was what? His Beinonis at the time of the loan, because he had a nicer one in Savion, in Kfar Shmaliyahu, and he sold it. So originally, when the loan took place, the Bet Shemesh was the middle, and was already Meshudach, was already engaged to the Baal Choiv, yeah? Kan, Shaloi Solidus Umechoro. The Brisa that does take the Baal Choiv, boom, down to the dumps of Dimona, that's what? That he did not have Idis. There was no Idis. No. In other words, we do believe in relativity. We're coming out with flying colors. Yes. Since Bet Shemesh is his best land, the best land that this guy has the Mazik, the guy, the poor guy, yeah, his best, Bavakasha. If it's his best, Mimela, of course, the Baal Choiv doesn't get it. Baal Choiv gets the worst. Avada. Question time. Now we're going to have 3 more answers because now we have a steer between the Brises. One answer is, yeah, of course you go with relativity. Elamai. The question is, did he have a nicer land? So now the Beinonis was always Beinonis, or by the time of the loan, the Beinonis was Idis, then he doesn't get the Idis, the Baal Choiv. Yes, Rabbi. Let's go. The Bais Ema. Another possible answer to tell us why sometimes we leave the, what's his name, the Baal Choiv in the middle / best, the middle, which is really his best, yeah? And sometimes we downgrade him to the worst. Why is that? Well, what's his contradiction? Idi ve'idi, shelo yisolo idis. In both cases, the Baal Choiv did not have idis. He always had, Bet Shemesh was always his best and the world's medium, and he has the worst one. Umechoro. He did not have the idis and sold it. No, that's not the case. But lo kasha, and it's not difficult. Ha, the shavya beinonis sheloi ki idis de alma. Yeah? One case is, his beinonis is worth like what? Like the idis of the world. Let's say his beinonis, what he called, really we go, yes, dafka by relativity. His beinonis is idis de alma. Let me just check Rashi for a second. Yeah, in other words, he did not have idis, and we go according to the world. We go with the world market, with the local market. One case is his Beinonis, the Beinonis that he has, is not the world's Idis. His Beinonis, Bet Shemesh, is considered as the world's Beinonis. And therefore, we don't care what's called his best at all. We only care about the market value. Unlike what we said. It's not a good answer for Ravina before. No, we're saying something new. We go with the market. Very simple. If his Beinonis is what is like the world's Idis, let's say for him Savion, which is everyone's Idis, for him it's Beinonis. Yeah? He's a very rich guy. Yeah? His Beinonis is everyone else's top. For him that's medium. Therefore, what do we say? Well, then the Baal Choiv is not supposed to get it. The Baal Chov is not supposed to get the best of the best, only supposed to get the medium, and therefore he's dumped down to the maziks or loive, lowest one, right? Because he's not supposed to get the best. Mapitom, he's Beinonis of the guy who owes, the owing guy. For him, Savyon, Mapitom, to go to Savyon and Baal Chov, no way. The regular case where he does get the Beinonis is when the Mazik Beinonis, the Mazik Loiva / Beinonis is the regular Beinonis of the world. It's his Beinonis and the Beinonis of the world, right? Really, you can say it's his best, by the way, because it doesn't have anything better. But Lamaisa is a Kedidus of the world, then we say no. Then if it's not worth it, in this case, his Beinonis of the world. Yeah, his Beinonis, meaning his Beinonis, but really it's his Idis, I am right. His Beinonis, meaning there's nothing above it, but it's called Beinonis in the world. Shemesh. He does everything nice in the Shemesh. It's a Beinonis, which for him happens to be nothing above it. Then we say the Baal Chov gets the Beinonis because we don't go by relativity. We go by market value. Very, very easy. Simple. We go by the market value, and that's it. Again, let's repeat the last answer. I was a little bit stumbling, so I'm saying clearly. One second, no question. Let me explain it first to myself. If the person's land is Shemesh, which for everybody else is Beinonis, and for him that's his best, we don't believe in relativity. With all due respect to Albert, no theory of relativity by us. Yeah, since by the Welt it's considered as Beinonis, it's Beinonis, and that's what he gets. The Baal Chov gets Beinonis. That's what he deserves. But if this guy is a spitzy guy with lands in Beverly Hills, and his Savyon land is his Beinonis, right? And what for the world that's considered as Idis, and even if let's say he doesn't have the land in California anymore, he has, let's say, Savyon and Shemesh, and he say for him Savyon is like middle grounds. For you, that's very nice, but not for the world, and therefore the Baal Chov will not get his Savyon land. The Baal Chov will go down to the one in Shemesh. The kids, we don't go with relativity here. We just go with what's good for what's considered good or best or worst in the market. That's simple. Okay? Question?
Just to say that this whole chapter are the best in the
Right, let's go. Okay, good. So now, Viboisema, where the line starts with the word Ki'idis, by me at least, yeah. Viboisema, a third answer. Idi v'idi, both cases, kigon shoyse benenis shelo ki benenis dalma. Both cases, what do you mean both cases? One case we said, a person, let's repeat the case, so you're all on board. The person has no idis, whatever that means. He only has benenis ziburis. He has a land in Shemesh and Dimona. So the Baal Chov, of course, the Nizokin, he gets the middle, that's the best that there is, right? The woman gets the worst. What about Baal Chov? One brisa says the Baal Chov gets the Beinonis / his Idis, and the other one says the Baal Chov is downgraded to the worst one. Why? That's a stira. So we answered two answers, now we're answering the third one. Very easy answer. Both cases, his Beinonis is everyone else's Beinonis. It's for him, it's Shemesh. Beinonis means Beinonis in the market of Eretz Yisrael, Shemesh in the middle. The machlokes of the two brises is exactly the issue that we have. Do we go by relativity, or do you go by the regular set market value? Is it a relative value or set value? That's exactly the argument. That's simple. You evaluate it according to his lens. For him, Shemesh is the most expensive apartment that he has. The most choshev apartment he has is Shemesh. The other ones are down south, down Shtiyot. And therefore what? Shall the Baal Chov get it? Mapitom. Baal Chov doesn't get the best. Hey, Baal Chov, don't have your nose up. No. Baal Sova, you get the worst. Baal Sova, the other opinion says, no, you go by the world. And since by the Welt, the world, I mean to say the people in Eretz Yisrael, Shemesh is not the best. Shemesh is what is medium average. Mimela what? The Nizak deserves it. The Baal Chov gets it because the Baal Chov is supposed to get a regular middle of the road kind of thing. That's good for the machlokes. That's good for the shaila. Do you go with relative or do you go with set values? Ravina says the fourth answer. But the Ula pligi. The whole argument has to do with the statement made by Ula. Doma Ula said, Dvar Torah midoraisa. Before Rabbanon came and made a takona, midoraisa balchoiv beziburis. The balchoiv is supposed to get the worst. Why is balchoiv getting the worst? Shenemal. It says, first of all, doesn't say meitav, doesn't say gets the best. And what does it say? B'chutz tamoid, you, the one who lends the money, you, the lender, you come to collect. There it also talks about collateral. That's a shala balchov koine mashkon. The collateral is kilo whole new return. The kids, let's say, returns the debt. You stand outside. You're not allowed to behave in a disrespectful way to the people who borrow money. Unfortunately, that's a very bad thing. Some of the people who lend money, on both sides are problems, but when people lend money, they should treat the person borrowing the money with respect. You should stand outside. Don't barge into his house. The man that you, how do you say noshe in English? I don't know the article word. The person that you demand money of, what do they say noshe? The person that you demand the money of as a lender, how do you say that? To demand the bar, what? Huh? Collect, no, to add before the collection. The one that you're trying to collect from, the one that you are harping on, he should take out the avoid the collateral or the return outside. Okay, in other words, he chooses what to do. If, let's say, the person didn't pay you cash, now you say, I'm going to knock on his door. I'm going to choose the nicest fancy thing that he has, and he should learn a lesson, and I'll barge into his house. No way. That's a terrible issa d'oraisa. You should wait outside, and he'll decide what to give you from his belongings. That's the end of the pasuk. Continues the brayso. What does a person usually bring outside to pay the debt? Usually, normally, really the worst one. He doesn't give you his fancy vase, which is, let's say, the 1,000 he owes you. He owes you 1,000 shekel. He'll give it to you Tupperware in the worth of 1,000, not the nice vase he got for his chasana, poor man. So mimela, real mikra din midoraisa, all balichov, men, women, or children, whatever, all balichov are supposed to get what? The worst, the zibuis. Same thing goes by land. He'll give his demon apartment, not Shemesh. Umatam omu balchov bebenonis. Why did Chachamim say what I already told you before? Balchov is upgraded, he's bumped up to benonis. Kedei, look inside. So the door would not be locked in front of the loivim. Yeah, people should not have the doors locked. In other words, the Gmach will say, I'm getting the worst all the time. Frayer, as they say in Hebrew. I don't want to be a ready malveh. And therefore, we try to accommodate for the Balichoiv. So now, what does it have to do with us? Says the Gemara. One of the brises holds, Islet Takanta Deula. In other words, the brisa that says that the Baal Choiv supposed to get the Beinonis and not the Ziburis, he has two lands, Shemesh and Negev, he gets the Shemesh one, that's Ula, that's a Takona of Ula, and we follow that, you give the Baal Choiv, the middle of the road, the medium one, not the worst one. The other brisa says no, we don't follow the Takana of Ula, because it's a brisa, it's a Tana, the Tana was before Ula, yeah? That Tana never took the Takana. That Tana believes that Baal Choiv, and it's a huge chiddush, that Tana believes Baal Choiv always get the worst. Wow. Not only the case where you have relativity and stories and something missing. They always get the worst set too. That's it. According to that brisa, big chiddush, huge chiddush, we don't follow Ula. And the Baal Choiv remain in the regular Oraisa course of things, and they get the worst because that's what they get. And we don't make the Takana. In other words, the question is, do you believe in capitalism or not? Yeah, what do they say? Make the rich people richer so they'll employ the poor people, they'll help the poor people. It's good for us that the rich are getting richer. That's what some people say. I remember a certain prime minister. But that's debatable whether it's true or not. So, yeah, that's a shala. We're giving the Takana Vula or not. Okay, great. Yeah, let's summarize. Yeah, a small quiz. What happens if the person doesn't have no middle grounds? A person only has the best, the idis, and he has the worst, the ziburis. No land in Shemesh. What a miss. He should really have a land in Shemesh, but doesn't. He has a fancy villa in Savion, say villa in Hebrew, in Savion, and he also has a few apartments in Dimona, and he has 3 people chasing him, the 3 musketeers. So who gets what? I need to have a pause. The Nizak always gets Savion. The Nizak always gets fancy schmancy. Let's say he has no middle, only has the worst. What about the other people's? The X gets the worst, and Shoshat, and also Baal Choiv. The Baal Choiv gets the worst. Very good. Yes, very good. They share. That's even without Tula. Right. What happens if he only has the best and middle? He has Savyon and Shemesh. He doesn't go lower than that. It's not Bishagai. He only has the best and the middle. So what's the story? Who goes to the top of the box? The Nezikin. Good, Yitzchok. And who goes to the middle? Woman and the Baal Kov. Very good. The only difficulty is, and there are 4 different answers and 2 different prices. The scary case is when you have middle and worst. He has no Savyon, he's a rich guy. He has Beth Shemesh, a regular run-of-the-mill apartment in, I don't know, Nachshon, and what? Lachish, and he also has one in Dimona. He has no fancy land. Why is it such a problem? Because the issue is, again to review, his Benonis is for the world, it's Benonis. It's not his Benonis, it is and it's not. It's Benonis for everybody else in Israel. Okay, not the world, fine, there are fancier places. But in Israel, Bet Shemesh is middle. But for him, that's his best. He has nothing better than that, so that's a Shaila. So there are many, so therefore what? So, excuse me? Very nice, very nice, very nice. The nice definition is so for the Nizak, it's like a downgrade. The Nizak was fantasizing about the land in Savyon. There is no land in Savyon, right? What does he get? He gets the one in Bet Shemesh. That's the best I have now, mister, right? He gets his, that's for sure. What about the Baal Choiv? That's a question. Baal Choiv, Baal Choiv, not exactly downgraded. This child is how you look at it. Baal Choiv, there are 2 different brises. One brisa says the Baal Choiv stays in the Benonis, because we say for the world it's Benonis. So that's Benonis. It's Benonis and Idis at the same time. For the world it's Benonis, I go by the Welt. That's Benonis, that's what Baal Choiv gets. Another brisa says Akitzchok, the Baal Choiv gets downgraded to the worst, because we say, no, this is Idis. For me, that's my Idis. Don't take my Idis, even though I don't care about the world. It's all relative. For me, that's the best. Mister, you go downgraded where? To the Ziburis of Daimona. Very good. Although there are other answers too, but that's generally the idea. I'm on purpose not saying it not to confuse, but that's the idea. You go relative or not, the nafkamina is about when he has Benonis and Ziburis, Benonis being Benonis for the world, and for the guy, I call him the guy, the poor guy, the one who owes everybody, for him, that's his best. That's where things start to fluctuate. Yes, Rabbeinu HaChoshuv, Tonu Avona. Says the Brisa, Tonu Abonon. Now we're going to talk about what happens before what. What happens when chronology comes into the scene. Mochal Echad, let's say Mr., let's call him Shlomazel, the one who owes his wife and the Baal Choiv and the guys whose car he crashed, he sold all 3 lands to one person, okay? Shlomazel sold his land to one guy, Reuven. He sold him all 3 lands, one big deal, all 3 lands. Savyon, Bet Shemesh, Dimona were sold, let's in one go, one star, one thing, to somebody else. Okay, Oi, right now that's how we interpret it. There could be another shot later, but that's for now, that's how we explain. Oi, l'shlosh bnei Adam ke'echad. He sold it the same day, on the same day, he sold the 3 lands to 3 people. Let's just be traditional with the names, not to get confused. Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. And let's say, he sold Reuven the Idis, Shimon the Benonis, and Levi the Ziburis, right? It's the same gematria, of course, if you change some letters. Kula nichnesu tachas habaylim. They all are now instead of the baylim, which means, let's say the person, chronology, guys, before he made the big sale, he already owed everybody. He already managed to get divorced. He managed to what? To break the car, to be into debt, and then he sold everything to 3 people, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Then, of course, then it's an Ashidach. That's Goldilocks and the 3 bears. The big one to the big, middle, and small. Lavdil. That's where they took the story from. In other words, who does the Nizak go to? The Nizak goes to Reuven, who has the best. The Baal Choiv goes to Shimon, who has the middle. And Shprincabela, the wife, the divorced, she goes to Levi, who has the worst. And it's all very nice and symmetric. That's true when it all happened in one day, in one go. However, let's say Reuven b'zeh achar zeh. Let's say the sale was one after the other. On Rosh Hashanah, he sold the Idis, right? On Chanukah, he sold later on, he sold the Beinonis, and on Pesach, he sold the Ziburis. That changes things. And we say, Kulam Govin min achroin. If the last guy who has Ziburis, the last guy, let's say money-wise, Ellen and Barrett and everybody else, let's say everybody got a lot of money. In other words, let's say the last guy, at least, who got the Ziburis, he got Ziburis, but for 3 million. And let's say each person is owed million. Yeah, the Nizak, Balchov, and women, each one is 1 million. They all run to the last guy, and they all get Ziburis. Wow, they all get Ziburis. Why is that? Very, very simple. Because we say in Halacha, and it's a Mishnah in Gittin, and it's in Bava Basra, and it's a famous thing. And I'm reading from Rashi. Yeah, I would actually read the entire Rashi inside. Rashi is literally one line below where the Gemara is. And it's worthwhile looking Rashi inside, and then we'll continue tomorrow. Mina achroin, da afilu shoklu kamoi idis ubeinonis. Even if the first two people, Reuben and Shimon, they bought the best and the middle, Matzi madchan levalukuchos, the lukuchos can doche, they can push them over there and say what lenizokin balchoy etzel ziburis. They can push them to the ziburis. Why? Why should the fancy people, the nizak and balchoy, get the ziburis? Simply think of the chronology over here. Says Rashi, the Omar, because Reuben and Shimon say, we're not stupid. When we bought the land in Tishrei and on Chanukah and Kislev, we knew that the guy is in debt. We know Shlemazel is always in debt. We left behind available land, which happens to be Ziburis, in the hands of Shlemazel, the seller. The fact he sold it later on, tough. Says the Rashi continues. Nan Maseches Gittin. We'll explain more. Ein nifroim in chosim mishubadim b'mokem sheyesh bnei chorin va'afilu en ziburis. Boom, boom, boom. Which means when a person look at Shlomazel, yeah, he sold the Idis. He sold on Rosh Hashanah. He sold the middle on Chanukah. Now, let's say between Chanukah and Pesach, what does he have? He has one land ben chorin available ziburis. And he doesn't have the other lands. The other lands are already sold, right? The other lands are sold. So now he says to the other people, if they came between Chanukah and Pesach, when he only has the Ziburis, they would have all gotten from Ziburis, because that's the only thing he has. The rest is history. Now the same thing, Reuben and Shimon can tell everyone, go to Levi. Now, since when Levi bought, he was the last one. He's the one left baby in the hands. He's the one left with the bucket in his head, the friar in the corner, the monkey in the middle, whatever you call him, the friar misken. He's the one left who actually bought all the lands that were the only lands available at the time of his sale. Listen to my words, yeah? When he got those lands, they were the only available ones. Emel, he's the one who has to give them. As much as we want to give the Baal Choy, the fancy, and then Nizokin, the super fancy, that's only if it's available. It's a question of availability. Yeah, first class, if we have room in the first class, Ukrainian Airlines, but not the middle class, that just doesn't exist. Continues Rashi, when they bought their lands, the fancy and the middle, when they bought it, they left behind available ben chorin ziburis land. The afapi dadar is dabna, even though it was sold later, basar basras linan. In other words, there is a trump card. Where's Trump? We missed Trump. Yeah, the trump card is, as much as we want to upgrade and downgrade and play around, it's a question of availability, like the seats in the show. And therefore, one second, and chronology plays a very important game. Because we care about the Lekuchas. When Reuven bought his prized Idis around Rosh Hashanah time, he bought it knowing he's leaving behind enough land, and there was enough land for the woman and for the woman male, for sure. Even for the Baal Choy, even for the Zikin. Same thing in Kislev. The one left, the misken stuck in the corner, is the one at the end, because when he bought, nothing else was available. He, how do you say, he maximized all the assets of the person. He sucked out all the assets of the Shlemazel person. Now everyone goes to him. Let's just see it inside the Gemara. Okay. Yeah, I would. Ein loy. Continues. Ein loy. Goyim Mishalofanov. Ellen, what you're asking, and you're asking also. Let's say the Ziburis guy who bought in Pesach doesn't have 3 million. He only has 2 million. What happens then? Then we go back to the guy of Chanukah. We backtrack retroactively, like the movies that go all the way to the back. And like Goyim Mishalofanov, you go to the guy of Chanukah. And they get from him, each one according to his darga. And loy, let's say he doesn't have enough. Go from Milishneponov the guy from Tishrei. End of story. And it's actually just the beginning of the story. Thank you very much. Aslocha Rabba. And I'm willing to your questions now very nicely. We're out of North Korea. Thank you very much. Tiskol Mitzvahs. Have a great week. Refuah Shlema to our friend. Yeah.